Hello, Deep Mindfulness Collective. I could not begin to imagine why my camera is showing up as a big green blob. It makes no sense to me. Okay, let's see how we work this out. What the hell is happening? Folks, welcome. Nice to see you here. This is the Green Stripes live stream. Coming to you live from Brooklyn, New York. Let me see something here. If I put something... I got rid of the overlay. What happens when I do this? Okay, so it's the camera itself. Okay, I'm going to try to fix this, folks. Hit me with where you at, what are you grateful for in the meantime? Oh, that didn't do anything. It's very weird. This didn't happen last time, and we haven't changed anything. Wow. So, folks, can you hear me at this point? Let me know if you can hear me. New connect. Okay. Yeah, hit me with if you can hear me and understand me right now. Yeah, the chat's there. Weird. This is the weirdest thing in the world. I don't understand. I think it's reading the signal of my camera. But even if I turn the camera off, it still is this green screen, so it's not the... Let me check the settings. Anyway, folks, how are you? What's going on? What's new? What are you up to? There we go. That's a little better so far. Okay. Oh, here we go. I can feel it. This is it. Boom. How you like me now? Okay, folks. Great to be here with you. Here we go. This is it. This is what we've been waiting for. Did I have my had I shaved off my face before last stream? I can't remember. Anyway. It's funny because this is how I think I look all the time, and then I shave my beard and I'm like, whoa, my face is tiny. Okay, folks, hit me with where are you at? What are you grateful for? And we'll go from there. Okay, we're going to meditate today. Today is Freaky Friday. Welcome. Hello, Dave. Welcome from Lithuania. Okay, hit me with where are you at? What are you grateful for? I'm in Brooklyn. What the heck am I grateful for? I don't know. Grateful for friends, for the retreat, which is full. Ostensibly, I'm sure there's a wait list at this point. Oh. Amazing weather. Supportive friends. Learning how to train my puppy finally. So much fun. So many fun things. Okay, we got here Aaron from Indiana, grateful for bike rides. Whoop whoop. I love a good bike ride. Amused Dave says from Lithuania says friends, food, good sleep, and skill. Good sleep, skill, weather. I'm not sure what skill you mean, but okay, I'm down. I feel that. What else? What else, folks? Yeah. Excellent. Okay, folks, we're going to be meditating here soon, so get yourself ready. Get ready. And we'll be going soon. What else? Apparently, my teeth are supposed to be straight now. I don't know if they are, but they're supposed to be according to the plan that my teeth are on. I don't know. They're getting there. Their teeth. Okay. Look, there's the background. Okay. So, folks, We're going to meditate here for 25 minutes. Find yourself a nice, comfortable position. Oh, it's Freaky Friday. I forgot it's Freaky Friday. It's improved. I know. It's weird. Anyway. Oh, we have Kristen from here from Guatemala. Silly. Guatemala Silly. Ha ha. Grateful for the stream. Thank you so much. Glad you're here. Grateful for you. The stream wouldn't be possible without you specifically. It wouldn't be possible for your, neurobiology to take in, to experience, if it weren't for your presence here. So, folks, where are you at? What are you grateful for? And today is Freaky Friday, so we're going to make up a meditation based on your needs, your interests, your curiosities, your challenges, all of these kind of things. And also, folks need to remind me about things they don't know, because I'm teaching a course. Some of you might be in that course, teaching a course, and I'm always amazed where I'm like, wait, don't you guys know this thing already? And people won't, and it's, of course they don't. I mean, I don't know why they would, but I'll be so like, oh crap, I need to teach that too. So I get to this place where I'm just like, I just teach one thing, I teach like a couple things. I teach like kind awareness, this whole part, and maybe like a couple other tools, but like, I'm assuming people have this like really wide knowledge base, and it's hard because people don't know what they don't know, but let me know the challenges you have, interests you have, curiosities you have, things to explore, any of those things. Hit me up. Hit me with what you got. And we'll go from there. Yeah, awesome. So, folks, lovely to be here with you as always. Lovely to have this time with you. Hit me with what are your interests, here I search my other monitor here. Questions, quandaries, queries, challenges, or life concerns. What do you got? Hit me. Otherwise, we're going to do a meditation on emotion, which, I'm not even sure what we would do. I think I already have the meditations on emotion that I want, so I don't think I'm going to re-record those. Okay. Recommended kind awareness leading up to the retreat. Yes, indeed. Any meditations with a focus on that would be great. Okay. First, yes, let's do that. We can do that today. And the links for the second YouTube channel, that is the YouTube Deep Mindfulness 2, youtube.com/Deep Mindfulness 2. It has a ton if you search kind awareness, or if you search just awareness. So just so you know, we'll include that today, but if you want a whole bunch, we can bump that up. I love to observe mental patterns of how the mind thinks. Mental patterns. Okay, so mental activity is one thing. Mental patterns is another. That's a layer more complex. And usually we're trying to stay out of the patterns, because the patterns are what pulls us into, once we hit pattern territory, we're getting into challenging area. There was a technique that I learned some time back where you watch thoughts get more complex, but it's hard because you're potentially getting pulled into them. So activity of the mind. We haven't done this in a while, is just do a meditation on the mind. So maybe we'll consider that. We'll do meditation on the mind, and then we can do that and with kind awareness. It's a lot of pieces. So what else? What else, folks? Anything else? Come on, make this a real Franken meditation. We'll have a lot of fun. You guys can't see my screen because I'm mirrored here on my screen. Can I just show you my screen? I don't think can I? No, I don't think I can. I don't think I can. So we'll go from there. But anyway, it's mirrored. So when I do this, it's like it's going like this way. It's like it's always like doing this thing. Whatever movement I make is like symmetrical in the opposite direction on my screen. Okay, let's focus on the mind. I like that. Great. I'm struggling observing mental talk and occupation of it. It pulls me in quite often. Okay, and I want you to pay attention also. Maybe that's a good idea. patterns are very interesting of mental talk. So let me think this through, because I don't want this to be too crazy of meditation. What we could do is observe the inner system, see in, hear in, and feel in. That's a totally valid way of working, especially since mental talk. It's funny, in the new course, I'm not really emphasizing mental talk. I'm just like whizzing right past it, but maybe it's really necessary. Anyway, the point of it all is okay, I'm thinking about rearranging the class. Anyway, neither here nor there, folks. Let's meditate. Okay, what we could do is do mental audio, mental image, and watching. Wasn't patterns. Observe mental talk. Okay, so let's play with mental image, mental audio. And in terms of patterns, maybe if we have time or if it feels like it fits, we'll talk about how to metabolize or how to watch thoughts get more complex. That's often what happens, is thoughts get, and usually you can tell that when you get distracted and you come back, you just tell like, how complex was that thought? And you try not to like take too much time on it, but you're like, okay, was that like, oh, I'm thinking about like, well, tomorrow, which is already pretty complex, tomorrow I'm going to have this to-do list and it's going to be for this job that, like, all my friends are going to be there. And if I don't remember, it's like, all these layers of things versus just like a sound in the mind. So that's what we'll do. If you get distracted, notice how complex the thought was, how many layers of thinking, and then you can start to see, okay, I want to start trying to hit that as soon as it appears. Great. Glad that sounds good. So that's our strategy. We're going to be observing mental audio, mental visual, and if we get distracted, observing how complex the thought was. Just take a moment and see how many sort of layers of pieces was it, and then just move right back to observing mental audio, mental visual. Great. And guess what? I've never led this meditation before. I don't know if anybody has. This is what's so fun about Freaky Friday. What about having thoughts on top of thoughts? I don't know what you mean. You mean one thought following another thought, or thoughts that are just very complex? Because that complexity, and that's what we're talking about as far as patterns. The thing is, if you're really noticing the mechanics of there is a way of watching there's a good meditation that I know of to watch the relationship of mental talk to emotion. Maybe we should. Okay, guys, I need a vote here. Either the first one I just mentioned, which I'm not going to go over again because I'm assuming you were listening a minute ago, or another one where we look at patterns of mental talk and how they're triggered by old emotion. So we're actually going to go from talk to emotion and actually see that the talk itself is being triggered by emotion that's held in the body. Which one of those do you want? Everyone has said their mind so far, and it's a relationship. It's body mind. They are one thing. It's like time space. When I recognize my thoughts, I have a thought. Okay, this is how it works. Yeah. So that's like that's like another layer of complexity. Just see if you can let it go. Just like, don't worry about it. Label it as whatever it is. If it's audio or visual, just be like, okay, see or hear. Let's do the first one I described. Especially because I've done the other one. And I've never done this one, so this will be fun. Okay, folks, find that nice, comfortable position. Who's here? Who should we have our ready, set, go person be? We haven't heard much from Aaron. Aaron said yes. That's Aaron. I'll often look back and see like who said a thing but hasn't talked in a while. Let's wait for Aaron. Okay, Aaron, when you're ready, we'll begin. Let us know when you're ready. Folks, find a nice comfortable position. Arrange your knees lower than your hips. Stretch up through the crown of the head as though there was string pulling through your head. So find a posture that is long. You're going to do a little stretch. Stretching out. My back's cracking. I'm stretching up so much. Stretch way up, way up. Let the shoulders pull back. So go ahead and pull the shoulders back like you're doing a stretch. Put the hands wherever they want to be with the shoulders stretched back. Then release the shoulders. The hands will probably slide a little. And then release all the muscles that are holding the neck and spine tall. See if you can find what feels like a balance point through from the crown of the head through the tailbone. So you're, in a sense, doing a straight line from those two spaces. See if you can find that balance point. If you can't find a balance point, it feels like you're constantly pushing yourself, you may need to change the angle of your knees. They might need to go further down. I can tell mine do a little bit. Okay, Aaron is ready. That's the most important thing, so let's begin. Beginning by taking a few comfortable deep breaths. And just feeling the body rise and fall. Each time we begin a meditation, we begin with the momentum of all the previous moments. Whatever speed we entered into this meditation with is going to be about the speed that the mind is moving at this moment. So, as we begin to relax the body physically, relaxing more deeply than we can even physically feel, I'd like you to detect the speed of the mind. So as you relax the forehead and the muscles behind the eyes, as you allow the face to go smooth, relaxing the back of the tongue and allowing the jaw to go slack, notice how fast the mind seems to be attending to these sensations. So just stay with those sensations, letting go. Does the mind seem to be very active, jumping around from place to place? Does the mind seem to be foggy, drifty? Just noticing this as you relax the neck and throat, and the shoulders, relaxing the arms, and relaxing the hands. Taking a moment to tune into the subtle sensations of the palms of the hands and tips of the fingers. Noticing the speed of the mind as we relax the torso, letting go of any attempt to control the breath, just letting the body breathe as it will. as we relax the belly and the lower back. And as we relax the legs and the knees, what we might notice is that part of the speed of the mind is the crispness of our sense of detail of these sensations. Are the details themselves soft, vague, dull, or are they crisp and vibrant and even agitated? And of course, between these two extremes is a kind of balance, a continuous relationship with the sensations without needing to be pulled away. So we're always cultivating this balance, so finding that in your experience now. So I'm going to begin by asking you to bring attention to the place in the head where you hear mental audio. This is typically experienced as somewhere between the ears, sometimes towards the back of the head. And if you're unsure, you can begin by simply saying the words hello, hello in the mind. Just hearing the mind speak in this way. And we're trying to sensitize ourselves to the nuance of sound in the mind. So notice exactly where we hear the sound of the mind as we repeat this word, hello, hello. Notice that the sound of the mind is not all around us. It tends to be localized, as though it were in the head. And just listening to that sound and seeing now if we can make it very quiet, almost a whisper. Just to sensitize ourselves to the quietness of mental audio. And we can make it so quiet that it almost feels like a murmur, as though it were simply bubbling out of a surface. We can just hear a tiny bit of it appearing now and then. And what we're hearing in this moment is the sound moving below the floor of consciousness just a little bit. And as we sensitize ourselves to the quietness of mental audio, our own floor of consciousness will move down. We'll hear more and more nuance. And now I'm going to have you one more time say the word hello, but we're going to say it at a normal volume, and I want you to say it once and then just listen to the silence that follows. So go ahead and say that now. Hello. It's often common that if we observe mental audio, doing so will suppress mental audio just a bit. So sometimes we'll try to listen to the mind and it will be suddenly quiet. This is not a problem. This is just one aspect, one common feature of the audio part of the mind. So listening to that silence until a sound arises. And we want to be right there. It's as though this sound were emerging out of darkness and we were sealing the conduit from which it comes. So the instant it arises, we notice that it's occurring. And like much of our practice, we can use a label. In this case, the label for mental audio is the word here. But of course, this is a little bit funny. We're going to use mental audio to notice if there is an experience of mental audio. So just be sure not to label the label. This would create a kind of echo chamber, which we don't want. So each time you notice any mental audio or any mental quiet in the mind, you can say the word here. Of course, the label itself is an example of mental audio, and again, we just don't label the label, so we can just listen to the after effect of that word appearing and disappearing without labeling, just soaking in, waiting for the next spontaneous piece of mental audio, and again, saying the word here. And playing it like a game, having fun, seeing if you can catch that audio as it percolates out of the unconscious space of the mind. Remembering that if the mind is quiet, it may or may not be, but if it is, this still counts as here. So just soaking into that for a little bit and then labeling. Good. So now we're going to make a slight transition. We're going to begin to add mental visual activity. So for a moment, just taking a little survey of see-in activity. This is any sense of space, location, arrangement. any sense of inside and outside, self and world, any memory, planning, fantasy, all of these are mental visual material. Each time you notice anything like this in the mind, you can simply label that C. And in the same way that we listen to the quiet aspect of mental audio, looking for the floor of consciousness, that same baseline, the beginning of the entire portion of our senses for mental audio, the equivalent in mental visual is orientation. So if it feels like you are oriented, there is a horizon, you are in a place, you are looking potentially out from that place. Any sense of placeness. This is the quiet murmur of mental visual activity. So if you notice nothing else, just noticing this activity, this location, this sense of a place. In the mind, you can label that C. Any mental visual activity, including the breakdown, including any piece of mental visual activity disappearing, still a facet of seeing. Again, trying to be right there at the precipice when this material appears to consciousness. Excellent. So now we're going to allow both see in and hear in to come to the foreground. This is the majority of mind activity, mental audio and mental visual material. So just observing, see, and hear. You may find that the mind toggles between the two, observing one then the other. Or may find that they merge together, becoming a kind of cloud of sensing. This would be due to awareness itself, rather than observing from the perspective of attention. Either one is fine. And if we find that we become distracted, the moment we are distracted, simply recognizing this, and for a moment just assessing how complex was the distraction experience, not spending a lot of time to ruminate about it, just observing it in terms of mental audio, mental visual, seeing how layered of a thought was it, and then returning right back to the practice. If we find that this is just full of distraction, there's so much to track that the mind is easily pulled away, you can pick one or the other of these objects to observe. If we find that our mind settles down, we can open back to both. And we can also increase our dedication, our commitment. Again, bringing back the game idea. We want to succeed in this game, so observing from the perspective of deeply wanting to stay with these two sets of sensation. And so staying with the practice, staying in stillness, allowing a tiny bit of light to enter the eyes, eventually allowing the eyes to rest on a single point as they fully open. Letting them rest on something that is not text, not a screen. And seeing if we can continue the practice now with our eyes open. And in this way, letting this particular moment be the great teacher. It shows us how we might bring this practice into every aspect of our life. Okay. Giving yourself a little stretch. All right, folks, what was that like? What happened? What do you like now? Hit me with your reports in the chat, or if you want to hit me on Discord and use your pie hole, you are welcome to do that. Don't switch. Wait a minute, I won't be able to hear you unless I switch my audio. I've been playing VR recently, which is fun. Okay, where are we here? Hey, Dave is here. Welcome, buddy. Here, I'll invite you in to speak. Jump on the levels. Dave, can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello, sir.
For having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Yeah. So I really like this meditation. I think it helped me
Nice.
a lot to discover my mind, my thoughts.
Nice.
Yeah, and I feel like with this meditation I can go deeper in meditation. I just have this intuition.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah, I also, when I observed like my thoughts, I noticed they start to change. Like my thoughts has like different sound, like a higher pitch, like a robot voice. I don't know. Yeah, but I find it hard to observe the mental image, I guess, because like I don't see it a lot in my vision, but sometimes I do, like rarely.
Okay.
Is it normal?
It is normal, and usually it's just a matter of sensitivity. Like it's there. There's some study that came out that was like, I find it very annoying, but it's like there's people who just can't have mental image. They just can't have it. It's not there for them, and I feel frustrated because I'm like, you just don't know how to ask the question correctly, and everyone has to have mental image or they would die within a few hours. Like you just smack into a wall or fall downstairs. Like you are constantly using mental image. So it's a matter of getting sensitivity. So right now, are you in a place where you can close your eyes?
Yeah.
Okay. So close your eyes and point at the door of the room that you're in. Okay. Are you pointing?
Yeah, I can notice it.
Yeah, point at the corner of the room. Right, point towards your feet. In each of these cases, you know exactly what those things are, right? It's like there's no question. Yeah, that knowing exactly, we're going to call that mental image. And once you start looking, like, oh, right, it actually is a kind of vague outline. You know,
it's blurry.
It's blurry, yeah. In the same way that if it's night and the lights are off and it's really dark, you can still find your way to the bathroom. There's a little bit of feeling your way around, but you only touch like one object every once in a while. Usually you're not bumping into anything. but you have a sense of the space that you're in.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever had the thing where you get up to use the bathroom in a place that you're like not familiar with, like a hotel, or if you're visiting a friend's house, and the map is all weird. You're like, wait a minute, it's like confusing. You're like, wait, what? Have you ever had that experience?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah, so the mental map is not lined up with the physical experience. You've maybe also had the experience. This is a big one in New York, where you maybe this happens. I mean, this happens very specifically in New York, so maybe it's happened where you're at. But basically, in New York, you'll get out of the subway, and you'll come above ground. You'll be like, oh, I know where I am, and you'll look around and be like, and you'll see one landmark and be like, oh, that's the art supply store, and the whole space will spin around. You'll realize you were facing the other direction the whole time. Have you ever had an experience like that?
I don't think so.
Anyway, but the general
Can
premise
you
is
give me a different example?
yeah. Well, I'm trying to think of another example where that happens, because it's so common in New York. Basically, you can check right now. Like, do you have, like, if you had a magic ping pong ball, right, and you could throw it through walls, could you hit the different rooms and different spaces in your house right now? Like, right now, I know if I threw a ping pong ball over here, I could hit my bed. I know if I threw a ping pong ball over here, I'd hit the bathroom, right? So the mind is just mapping this space right now.
Yeah.
So just notice that that's occurring. What sense gate is that occurring through? Is that smell? Is that taste? Is that sound? No.
Yeah, that's some sort of imagination.
Right. It's the mind imagining. So any imagination, any sense of, memory, planning, fantasy, any sense of space. Do you have any sense of that there is an above you? There's something up that feels like it's up.
Yeah.
Yeah, or a sense of down, like, okay, yeah, that this is up and this is down. I did this thing in the class recently where I had people, have their hands and notice when it just felt like it naturally, like, okay, this is entering into behind territory. This feels like it's behind me. And then where does it feel like it's, okay, this is getting slightly in front of me, and find out like where that line is. And then say, okay, this is below. Like, you can do this too. Put your hands like here. So yeah, this feels like it's below, and now move it until it feels like it's above. Right? It's like, when does that line mix? Okay, that feels like it's above for me. And you start to realize, wait a minute, space is really arranged around the eyes. Like, it's like the eyes are that line for all of these different units. So you understand that there is no universal object. There's no thing that exists, literally, that is left. Right? Left is always left of something else. That makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can't. It's not like somewhere in the universe, left or right or whatever, it exists, and you could go find it, and some alien race would be like, "Oh, we finally found left. That was like the thing that was missing this whole time." It's always left of something else. It's always above something else. So all those things that feel so natural as the way we exist are all experienced relative to something. They have to be to something, and that something tends to be us, but not just us as a abstract thing. It's us in relationship to our eyes. Like, it's left of our head, it's left of our body, it's left, this unit. And really, if you get really refined, you notice that space is arranged based on the eyes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's really hard, but I will try to improve the skill.
Just observe it a million times, just over and over and over again. And plus, you got the 15 guided meditations, right?
Yeah, I can use that meditation.
There's 4 in there about CN. So really get in detail on CN.
So is our mind producing subconsciously those images while we meditate, like the sense of space? I just have to notice it.
100%. You couldn't, it's like, in a sense, it's like, how hard that magic ping pong ball, like, how hard is it to know where for me, it's where my bed is or something. How hard is it to know where that is? Or if you close your eyes, how hard is it to know where the doorknob is? Like, it's no more complex than that. It's not like you have to produce those images. You can, if you want to experiment, just don't get confused that the images you're producing you're supposed to produce images. You can just imagine, and you can just, I remember when I really saw this for the first time, I like imagined an object in front of me, and the thing that just stood out, I think I realized because it had like emotional impact, was a gun, like a shiny machine gun. And I just was looking at it from the side, and I was like watching. I just made it in the mind. I was just watching it in front of me. I was watching it like move and articulate, and like sort of seeing its details in space. And then I sort of moved it, and as the barrel moved towards me, like it was like sort of here, and then starts to move more closer and closer to me, all this emotion starts arising, because I don't want a gun pointed at me. And it was a really good insight to see how how dumb the mind is, where it's like you can you can create and then point your own imaginary gun at yourself, and you're like, ah, you know, it's like, it shows how simple our our world is in that way.
Very
Awesome.
interesting.
Awesome. Okay, we have several people here in the chat. So folks joining us, just so you know, you can join us. Dave, I'm going to bump you into the audience here. Thank you for joining.
Thank you so much.
If anyone wants to chat with me or has a question, just raise your hand. Otherwise, you can just listen here. We're on the stream now. We have a question here from Massive Quant. I like your hair. I like your hair. Do you use styling products? I use like a clay. It's clay, but I just use a tiny little bit. Otherwise, my hair is like really frizzy. It's like really light. It's like a, I don't know if you've ever seen a chick, like a baby chicken. It's like their hair is like super fuzzy. That's how my hair is. Okay, Aaron here is raising their hands. Aaron, let's pull you invite you to speak. Let me know when you're audible. I'll check your level.
Yeah, I'm here if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, how can I be helpful?
Yeah, that was a pretty interesting meditation today. I've been working a lot with CN, just because in the Monday night class, that's what we've really been focused on.
Great.
And it's been really, really cool, talking about that mental map, just being able to picture that. And I've had, several experiences where that mental map will sort of dissolve away into awareness, and then I can feel it contract back down into being more solid, and it just kind of expands and contracts like that.
Great.
Over and over again.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's pretty, it feels like, kind of the right area to be in anyway.
Yeah,
I noticed
what you're describing, that sort of it forming and unforming, is really important. That's like that's a very deep layer of noticing impermanence. It's just noticing, okay, there is solidity, and that solidity just breaks down. And yeah, if you can watch that, that's very powerful.
Okay, good. That's encouraging. Then today, what I noticed, just because we're kind of toggling back and forth between CN and herein, is how much easier it is for me to just observe CN and observe those mental objects. Then when I'd move over to herein, I felt like I was getting more kind of swept up in what the mental talk was saying, rather than being able to kind of step back and observe that.
Yeah.
Is that just a matter of kind of working more with herein the way I've worked with CN, and that'll change?
Yeah,
or is there?
That's exactly right. That it's. I was going to ask, like, have you in the past worked with herein as much as you've been working with CN? And if the answer is no, that's often the case. You can just break it down by taking your time to really work with it. I do know some people who, they've worked with it extensively. They've done like, short retreats, like day-long retreats, like continuously just observing herein, and they just can't not get swept in. So if that's the case, you either go one of two directions. You just power through and you just push and you get to the point where you can not get pulled into it, or you just pick a different object and go from there. And there's fun ways to work with herein where you can just do hear and rest. So you're always listening to one or the other. And for some people, using the mental label makes it challenging. So you can just use touch as your label. But yeah, I think that for me, at least, it's motivating to play it like a video game, or it's motivating to play it like, okay, I only have to do this for the next 5 seconds. For 5 seconds, can I just listen to mental audio and see what's going on there? Label here, soak in, like that kind of thing. But this is the same reason why there are traditions where you're just using a mantra the whole time. It just takes up mental real estate, and so the audio real estate. So you sink much more into a visual and spatial kind of way of relating.
Yeah, that may be it. It feels like if I've got something interesting to hold my attention, like doing CN, the mental talk is going on in the background, but it's not really pulling me in too much.
Exactly.
But when I actually try to focus on it, that's when it pulls me in more. So yeah, maybe I'll
another thing to do then would be to, they'll often talk about it as an anchor, but you'll just hang out with something that you can stick with, like you're watching C, and then if you notice here in the background, you just say here, back to C. So you anchor on C and you're observing C, hanging out with that, and then you notice talking again, you note that and come back. So you're not like just like grinding into it, because often like just hanging out with that thing could push us into that material. But also just looking for a specific detail is often a way to cut through that stuckness where I like to listen to the floor of consciousness, like listen to it just bubble, but it is true that, it can easily pull people away. So nice.
Okay, yeah, I'll try both of those things then. Thanks, I appreciate
Awesome.
it.
Yeah, great work. Okay, let's hear from Christian Ingram. I'm going to put you in the audience here. Let me know when you're audible.
Hello.
Hello, sir. And I'll just before we start talking, I'll just let everyone else know. We have a few more minutes, so hit me in the chat or in Discord with any questions, quandaries, queries, challenges, or concerns. You got a big weekend ahead of you, I'm sure. So, what do you need? What do you need from me? All right, so Christian, hit me.
The retreat is in about 2 weeks, so
yep.
Yeah.
No, the retreat's in May.
It's in April 7th. It starts.
No, it's May 7th.
I know. That's your retreat. The retreat I'm going to.
Oh, okay. My retreat is May 7th. I was like, uh-oh. I hope you didn't buy flights for that. Okay, so April 7th. Oh, the Goenka retreat?
The Goenka retreat.
Great.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, good, because great.
I have another question. In your experience of practicing and teaching, do you feel like advancing through the path of awakening? Do you feel like, or do you think that it reduces competitive drives, as in competition?
Absolutely, and to the point where it's almost probably can be problematic. Like, of course, you don't always get to pick which drive it affects, but it can affect drives to the point where, like, I have to figure out other motives to get things done. Because recently I was noticing, like, I'm teaching this course and the Aaron's in, and like because of the retreat and because all this stuff and a bunch of stuff happened and a bunch of technical challenge with the audio and a mistake that I made, I accidentally taught an extra class. Anyway, it just was a little bit of cluster of like problems. And I would feel these like waves of shame, like, oh my God, everyone's going to, be upset. I messed up. Everyone's going to be mad. And I'd be like, okay, well, there they go. Just like a wave of shame. And it wouldn't be like, now I've got to go get this thing done. It would be like, okay, there's shame, and it would come and go. And I have to find other motives to help people. For me, the motive that it will reduce people's suffering, that is, for me, is a personal motive. It's like, okay, that's important. So let's get on this because I want to make sure that people's suffering goes down. But that just happens to be my motive. So one thing if you've been on this stream for very long, you've probably heard me say is that I think that people being clear about their values is incredibly important and just massively important. And because as the ground goes away, I was talking to Dave about this. So everything, direction is relative. You start from one point and go to another, and it's, space is relative, direction is relative. I always wondered in the Star Wars movies why, like, or Star Trek, like two ships come in from space and like they like come nose to nose like this, and then they have like a parlay. Like, I never understood why they didn't like, come in like this and one's upside down and one's this way. Like, that's how space would be. Like, it's not a straight line. It's all relative. So, and each crew thinks that they're the right way up, and the other crew's like the wrong way, and they're like trying to have a conference like upside down, obviously. And then they have to, what are they going to do? Like, okay, we're going to spend, the 15 minutes it takes to get both of our ships to like line up and be nose to nose with the camera. It makes sense to the camera. It's like, that just wouldn't be how it works. So all of that is to say that to have a direction in life, to have motivation, to have like, okay, I want these things. I want to have a good life. I want to be fulfilled. I want to support my family, or whatever we want, right? Whatever we want. We need to have a grounding. We need to have a center of reality. And when the center gets sort of blasted away through meditation, where do we go? Do we just stay centerless and hope that works out? It's like, well, that could work out, but it doesn't necessarily for everybody. So I will often encourage people to get really clear on your values. And I have an exercise, if you want that, I can share that, where you will... Go ahead.
I've done it. I've done it. The
Great.
thing is, like you said, it's hard to take your kids to school when you don't exist.
Yep.
Yeah. But no, my question is that I've been like many times like very clear about what my values are, and then they're just, because of meditation and other things, they just change like
Yeah.
suddenly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll happen.
So yeah. So my question is like, meditation does enhance like concentration and other things. So do you feel like if you need to like stay competitive uh, to function because of the kind of work I do and stuff, uh, if like the competitive drive like of, you know, being better than other people subsides or is greatly reduced, do you feel like I could frame it as a game, like just making the best decision possible at
Yeah.
every single point?
Yeah,
Or
especially if framing it like a game will motivate you. Like one of the things that I notice for me, and this is, it's not the case for everybody, but I like to play the meditation like a game. Like I'm like, okay, I'm gonna catch the, you know, the here in as soon as it comes out, and I'm gonna, you know, playing it like it's like a game, and I'm like trying to get better at the game. A lot of people that's not fun for. So that's my motivation. I mentioned that in the meditation. So people who like that can do that, but you're picking what motivation works for you and then using that as the sort of carrot to get yourself to move forward. Like for me, helping people is really just a core value of mine. So like remembering that helps me get things done. And if I focus on those things, it makes it much easier versus like the shame, which actually makes me averse to doing the thing in the example that I gave. But if you're less competitive, maybe it's turning it into a game. Maybe it's getting clear on, okay, if I do, you know, compete and get better than these folks, then, or you know, compete in this whatever environment you're competing in, and succeed, then I will get to, you know, whatever, help people, or I'll get to have a vacation, or I'll get to do these things. I'll get to support myself and my family, and you're just looking at how these things will help enact your values. But you might find that your line of work is out of line with your values far enough that you're like, I don't necessarily want to do this. And that's the downside. Sometimes we realize we're out of line with our values and we just feel like we have to change. So that's the other thing to keep in mind.
yeah, that's what I'm like. I wouldn't say afraid, but concerned about, because yeah, uh, it let's just say, without going into much detail, it requires you directly outperforming other people, which hurts other people's income.
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah, and you know, I had
so
a friend who was in advertising, and they were like, it's such a brutal, unfriendly, unkind, like like it goes against all their values. And they're like, how do I, you know, people ask me this all the time. Like, you know, one of my first one-on-one students was this guy who was a salesman who was like, he just would never do the work. He'd never meditate. He would like talk during, I'd be guiding meditation. He'd start talking to me like, oh, you know what this reminds me of? I'd be like, dude. And then finally he was like, he did a bunch of weird things. I could like tell his whole story. And he was like, okay, how do we use mindfulness to like trick people that I call into like buying more? I was like, dude, I don't think we should work together anymore. I mean, I did exactly my thing, and we just drifted apart because it's like, no, I'm not going to help you manipulate people with mindfulness voodoo. I don't know what you're talking about, but he, what was the point of that entire story? Remind me where I was going with that, if you can.
I mentioned like competition and lines of work that
Oh yeah, that's
directly
what it was.
involve.
It's like, my friend who's in advertising, this guy, it's possible that the line of work, or the way that I relate to the line of work, or the community that I'm in within this line of work, just is totally outside of my values. It's just not going to work for me. Not every action that a human being can take is one that's going to fit with your values. So it means it's some jobs, some things, some places. I've thought about that recently, about living in New York. Is like, I don't know, man, I'm starting to really feel like I really care about nature. And it's like, it's a lot of cement, man. Like, I have to stare at cement a lot. Do I like that? And I was like, I kind of don't, which is a bummer because I spent a long time building my apartment, you know. So
This is the part when I convince you to come live in Guatemala.
yeah, there we go. Come visit
No,
Guatemala.
but yeah, I'll let you. I think it's someone else in line, so I'll let you go. But yeah, the thing is, yeah, like in sports or something, you're directly like, if you
Yep.
win a sport, it's celebrated, but you're directly affecting someone else's income. And if
Yep.
you make the draft or make the team, somebody else didn't, and maybe their career is over, right?
Well, so, I think that they're basically like, there's also places where you can't, like there's downstream effects that you can't worry about. It's not your job to worry about. Like, I'm trying to think of an example. Like, for me, so the meditation teacher, like if I'm here teaching you guys, there are other people who won't get taught, and they're suffering, right? So what's the answer? Shouldn't I just not, at some point you have to accept that you're always, this is one of the challenging sort of truths about Buddhism. Like, you're always going to harm someone. Every action you take is going to create some harm somewhere down the line in some unknown way or some direct way, and it's going to create some good things for people that's unknown, and some benefits for people that you don't know about. And most of what it's going to do is have effects that are neutral. But everything's going to do that. So we have to look at our morality from this place, knowing like you're going to cause harm. Like if you save a baby from a rushing river, of course, should I save the baby? Well, of course, but it's like, yeah, but you just contributed to overpopulation. So it's to know that all actions have all of these different effects, and we just have to decide, like, I'm going to try to do the best that I can, knowing that at times harm will be caused, and you can't focus on that because it just is totally derailing.
Yeah, that's a good way.
Yeah.
But thank you.
Yeah. Awesome.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, you too. Okay. Talk soon. I'm going to close this. And folks, lovely to be here with you as always. Oof, I got to go. Okay, let us jump into some outro music. Here we go. I don't have someone like right now, do I? I'll literally have to just hang up if I have something. No, I'm okay. Oh, okay. Good. Okay, folks, lovely to be here with you as always. Let's listen to some music, shall we? So folks, as always, take a moment to soak in them jams. Take a minute to notice mental image, mental audio, even if they're quiet at this moment, and let this moment be the great teacher that shows us how we might bring this practice into every aspect of our life. Folks, as always, practice well, take care of each other, have fun, and we'll see you all very, very soon. Bye.